Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this chat, I'd like to talk about how, certainly in the Western world at the moment, Western governments are using a series of devices to destabilize Western society. Now, they're supporting these destabilization scams at the point of a gun. And you've probably all seen where BLM can burn down buildings and beat people up and kill them. And the government shows very little interest. Western governments show very little interest. Public property can be destroyed, all sorts of things that you would typically regard as severely antisocial. But if they're directed against white people, then that's something now that Western white governments support. They will protect that. They will actually protect BLM. But if you oppose anything that is in aid of or is part of the globalization plan, if you oppose that, such as opposing injections and alleged cures to epidemics, then the police will come out and the entire law enforcement and so-called justice system will come out and will punish you. They will try and crush you. Similarly, the media will attempt to humiliate you and cancel you. So, and that goes for social media as well as mainstream media, because this is all now globalist controlled. So if you make a mean tweet about or a social media posting anywhere about, say, a transgender person, then the police will be at your front door and you'll be charged with or threatened with charged for a hate crime. Now, it's not hate crime. That's absurd. But having all these transgender rights and black lesbian rights and so on, these are all social destabilizers. They are invented and pushed and supported at the point of a gun, by the way, to destabilize white society. Equally, it's a way of humiliating people, humiliating the white society. If we go to the scene in George Orwell's 1984, and there's a couple of movies about it where while Winston Smith is tied to what looks like a medieval rack, but tied to a table, he has to say, how many fingers am I holding up? They ask him, and he has to say a different number. It's 4 fingers, but he has to say 5. This is all part of the humiliation. You know that the transgender thing is absolute nonsense. It's a scam, but you have to accept it. If you don't accept it, they'll come after you. They'll charge you with something. They'll send you to prison if they can. Even if you fight them through the courts, you're probably going to get a judge who's sympathetic to the globalists or that the globalists control, and so you're still going to get sent down. Maybe you appeal it. Maybe you win the appeal. But at that stage, you're bankrupted. They've achieved their objective anyway. They're either bankrupting you, humiliating you, grossly humiliating you, or they've got you in prison, or you silently go along. And this is the game now. So let's look at two sides of the equation. On one side, the globalists are deliberately using all sorts of devices. Typically, they're saying, well, it's the equity and equality and quality of outcomes. It could be gay marriage. It could be transgender bathrooms. It could be any of these. But that's simply a device to destabilize white Western society. So on that side, they've got it, and they'll support that again at the point of a gun. On the other side, anything that may lead to or supportive of white cohesion and white social cohesion and stability, that will be attacked. So they're attacking on two sides here. One is anything that creates stability for whites, that's being attacked. It's white supremacy, it's fascist, it's Nazis, it's this, it's that. So they come after that, and let's just be sort of a good example of that is parents who are opposing critical race theory. Now, critical race theory is teaching white children to hate themselves and to hate their society, which is going to make it easier for the globalists, of course, down the track when these kids are working and they're out as they become adults. So it's inculcating self-hatred and loathing for one's own people and society, for oneself, for goodness sake. Now, parents are opposing that, quite reasonably so. So they're now opposing a central plank of globalization. So straight away, the forces of the police, the FBI, the CIA, all that sort of stuff, the entire apparatus of the state is now coming after those parents. So that they're opposing globalization and they're going to be attacked. They're doing something for white people. If they can stop critical race theory, then white society is likely to be more cohesive, more unified, and would oppose globalization, because globalization has nothing in it for white people. Well, white people are going to absolutely get nothing out of globalization. So they're the ones that have the most to lose. So they're the ones that have to be attacked the hardest. So that's what they're doing. So the parents that oppose critical race theory itself is irrelevant. The globalists don't give a shit about that. It is just a device to destabilize and break up any cohesion in white society. That's all it is. And so if you oppose critical race theory, then you are opposing the globalist project. And the globalist project requires that white society is fully destabilized and has no cohesion. So anything that lends to, it could be a YouTube content creator with a huge following. We've seen plenty of those get kicked off YouTube and many other parts of the internet, Facebook and so on. And that's because they're a binding force. They're the sort of people that can bring cohesion and hope to the white society. So they have to go. That the globalists will not tolerate that, and they have to go. And so they're using all sorts of private companies. They're using banks. They're using the FBI, the police, and so on to destroy any opposition to the globalist project, but also to destroy any hope that white society has of stability and cohesion. So that's both sides of that equation, and that's what they're doing. And so far, at least, they're getting away with it. I guess the only hope that we have is if they're pushing that hard and they're being that crazy, then they have to believe, this is the globalists, have to believe that they're not succeeding either at the rate or the extent that they think they need to or should. Now, they control everything. They control the media, 95% of the media. There's not much they don't control. And if they still can't get their project on schedule, then you've got to think that there's something not happening for them that they're very worried about. Because going after parents who go to high school meetings at the point of a gun under threat of FBI investigation, that is way, way, way over the top. And it shows how scared they are, the globalists are, about things. You don't sick the FBI onto some working class parents out in the middle of nowhere. They're complaining to their school board, which is legitimate. The school board is elected and their complaints are completely legitimate. Here we've got the FBI going after them. But this is part of if we look at the bigger picture, and this is happening everywhere. Again, you make a mean tweet about a transgender person, you have five police at your door. If you if a black person complains about that there's some alleged racist event that took place, that they don't need evidence. The evidence bar is set so low, and you can have 10 or 20 FBI agents investigating. But if there's a shootout in downtown Chicago where people are getting killed in a shootout in broad daylight, who cares? That's got nothing to do with the globalization project. Well, we're focused on globalization, and every organ of the state, including every law enforcement organ of the state, is now the political police. That is their sole role. They are now political police owned by the globalists to enforce and support the globalist project and to undermine white society. That's what it's all about, and that's what's happening. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.